Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of How Did We Get Here? I'm your host, Jay Carter, and the man that is always heard and never ever seen, Skeens.
What up?
AKA Dr. Claw.
That be me.
AKA the Background Killer.
Absolutely.
AKA the Wizard of Oz.
Sprinkle some on it.
Welcome back, y'all, again. Better Than Your Average is the channel, and the movement How Did We Get Here is the show. We got two cousins that are like brothers, talking any and everything in the process. How did we get here? I want to welcome y'all back to another episode. Appreciate y'all tuning in. And without any further ado, we got a returning guest, our brother from another mother, Mr. Dominic Tedisco. Welcome to the show, my friend.
What's happening, brother? What's going on?
It's all good, man. I appreciate you jumping on the jack with us, y'all. This is a locomotive engineer that's fresh off the train. He still smell like train smoke and everything. You know what I'm saying? But I hit him. He popped in my head, and I wanted this dude to hop on, man. He's like, absolutely. So, I appreciate you getting on, brother. How was the day for you, man?
It was a day, but I'm alive and breathing, and I'm on my way home, so I'm good, brother.
Yeah, it's all good, man. At the job, my boss is off for a week. So since I'm the assistant pimp, everything falls. And we
from a long line of assistants.
You know what I'm saying? I'm the assistant pimp, so it's just wild once that extra little leg is out and all of the stuff is coming down the pipeline from the higher ups, man, and we dealing with residents being displaced from their homes and all this other kind of drama and booking hotels, and it's just, I'm like, oh my God. So it's a cool day, man. How about you, Skeens?
Hey, man, another day above ground.
Yeah, indeed.
Hey,
indeed.
Can't complain. It can always be better. It can always be worse. And just all about perspective.
Dude, it's funny you say that. I was talking to my homegirl on the phone, my sister from another Mr. Changa, and I was telling that chick, we some kind of way got into the conversation of LASIK, and I was like, a couple years ago, Liz was talking to me about LASIK, and I was like, nah. But I said the weight of my left eye, like, it seemed like it's getting worse. It's trasher and trasher. I said, I'm thinking, like, without glasses on, I'm like, yo. I was telling her when the kids are in the room and it's dark, I said they look like little, people I don't even, little strangers in my room running around. I'm about to tackle one of these dudes and choke him, but I'm like, oh, it's my kid. But that's what
He's a carrot. He's a carrot. They need enough carrots. That's what they used to tell us, right?
Yeah, man. So without glasses on, I can see like my computer screen and stuff at work. If I look through my left eye, it's better. My right eye, that joint is like blurred with no glasses on. So I was asking Cheng, I was like, what can you see with glasses off? She was like, nothing.
Hell no.
Nothing at all. And Nicky wear glasses too. He laughing, but he been glassed up for a minute too.
Well, you talking like you trying to develop that Biggie Smalls.
Right. So, man, before we jump into everything, man, again, make sure y'all go to the channel and subscribe. You can pull this up on YouTube at Better Than Your Average. You can also search it with How Did We Get Here. So please go on there, subscribe, drop us a like, a comment. All of that stuff helps with the YouTube algorithms. And we have launched the podcast on Spotify. You can search us through How Did We Get Here with Jay Carter and Skeens. So, we're trying to put our stuff out on these multiple platforms, and we appreciate y'all. But let me get y'all take on this, man. Well, first of all, let's talk about this, man. Got news over the weekend. We all hip hop heads, and that the dude, DMX, is still it looks like he had an overdose on Friday. And he's been in the hospital in critical condition, and from what I understand, he's still being assisted by a breathing machine. I looked at a update from Ebro and Rosenberg on Hot 97 today, and they were saying that it's kind of to the point where, and there's been some reports that kind of been saying different things, but according to some of the stuff that they recently heard, it's kind of to the point where the family is making the decision if they're going to keep him on the breathing machine or not. You know what I'm saying? So we started, of course, reminiscing on, you know, again, what DMX has meant to the hip hop game, especially for us kids that were a part of it from that late 90s kind of golden era, if you will. But Nicky, I'll throw it to you first, man. Kind of just give your take on kind of what DMX meant, you know, to the rap game to you.
I mean, you know, I thought DMX was that next one, bro.
Right.
Like, I think he had the game pretty much locked down. If the addiction wouldn't have gotten a hold of him the way they did, the world was his oyster, bro. You know, he was acting, he was getting roles in movies and all of that.
Yeah.
He had dropped 2 albums within less than a year's time frame, and went multi-time platinum. Yeah. And that was like one of the first rap artists to ever do something like that. You know,
right.
I mean, he had a story. He had a unique way of writing. You know, he had a dope, like, introspective format to how he wrote some of his songs. You know, like on the Damien joint, on the Prayer joints, and all of that. A lot of his stuff, man. So, and then, you know, his production was like top tier at that point. So it was just like he had the perfect storm. His team was strong. Rough Riders. It was just like the perfect storm for that man to take over the game, bro. Right. You know, I fully believe it was gonna be his. But again, addictions got a hold of him, and that's what ultimately, you know, led to him not seeing that potential. But as far as what he could offer to the rap game, man, it was very unique, bro. The first time I heard him was on Stop Being Greedy. That's the first time I remember hearing it. And the transition between like the mellow side of him to that rough, like, angry side, that was like one of the coldest like concepts to me, bro, because you know how he was just talking real chill, like, y'all been eating long enough, and he was real mellow, and then he went crazy with the gruffness and the man, bro. Yeah, DMX was the truth. That boy had it, man.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, Nicky, because Skeens and I was talking before this, and one other thing, I was looking at him just as far as the hip hop side. I wasn't thinking y'all Romeo Must Die, and I mean And what was the other joint though?
He was in a joint with Steven Seagal.
With Steven Seagal, Exit Wounds. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even thinking about that. And then, but Skeens was saying, go ahead. Skeens was saying that was the first track he remembered.
This is why you my brother. Yeah, I was telling him.
Stop Being Greedy?
Yes, sir. Me and my dad went to Florida to go visit my godbrother and my godmother at that time. And my godbrother had the old school big speakers in the house. In his room, he had them strategically placed in all 4 corners. And he played Stop Being Greedy. Boy, now I almost lost my mind when he played. So we had Stop Being Greedy on repeat for about 10 times. Right. Just that same track. We didn't go to something. Yeah. And the way it hit, bro, you felt everything about it. And you know what, DMX, absolutely. I think the thing with DMX, he was like the resurrection of emotion within music. Right, yeah. Because, when Tupac died, that was Pac's biggest strengths. He was able to bring you into the music, and you actually felt the raw emotion of the music of his words. Right. Whether you had a beat or not, you understood and you felt that pain, that joy, the different emotional response that you would get from his words. Right. When him and Big died, then we went to the pretty much the shiny suit era, which we all love, Puff, Mace Dance, Right. But when X came out, it was a different thing. He was like the closest thing to Pac in terms of bringing everyone into his realm when you listen to the music. And it was such power, and it was such, you can feel the hurt when he talked. Right. Even when he made light of things, you still could feel that was a real pain. Mm-hmm. And it was something that a lot of people were able to like resonate with. Whether regardless of what you was going through, there was an emotional response to everything that he said, even when he prayed.
Right.
His prayers were better than most preachers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
that prayer song, bro.
Even
the joint at the end of Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, that prayer at the end, bro.
Yeah.
When he went into the song, I'm ready to meet him because Rob lived the name right. Remember that joint?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Bro, that was such a heavy track to me, man. I didn't even listen to the rest of the album half the time. I just would go right to that track, bro. Because it was just, like you said, it was heavy emotion, but it was written in such a way that you could feel that joint, man. Like, and you could kind of embrace that he was facing a similar struggle that a lot of us face.
That's what it is about him. That's the thing about X, is that, you know, he was talking about things where, you know, you can identify with it. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy when he was talking about it in the Drink Champs interview. And actually, he talked about it on there, but I didn't know if there was that episode of Talib Kweli's podcast where he was like breaking down, talking about that it was an older cat that he looked up to that laced his first blunt. You know, he said, I think he was maybe 13, 14 years old, something like that. And he was like, that's where the monster was, you know, grown in that moment. And he's fought that battle this entire time.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is, a lot of time when we see people, we see the byproduct of the results of the things that they had to deal with.
Right.
So, you know, sometimes some people talk about X and the things that he's going through, and a lot of times we're like, how is he still addicted? Why?
Right.
He never dealt with that trauma. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how much help have the people in his corner really attempted to get him the real help, because you gotta think X, and it's almost similar to like the R. Kelly thing. Mm-hmm. It's a cash cow. Mm-hmm. As long as it's still, the register's still ringing, I don't want you to stop doing the things necessary to keep the money coming in, because X was keeping the lights on.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's one of those keep the lights on artists, for sure.
You know, so as long as he's coping, you know, he goes through things, you say, okay, he's coping. But there's a difference between coping and overcoming.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So he was basically keeping his head above water, and everybody's celebrating the things he was doing.
Right.
But it was really bringing him further and further down.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, Biggie said more money and more problems.
Yep.
X was dealing with a lot. As you know, at one point, X was the guy. As much as we love Jay,
X was the guy
at one point.
He was the guy. He was the guy.
And you know, his talents were so that, as you talked about, he wasn't even an actor, but you really believed him. Hey, Belly. You know,
you don't get me started on Belly, boy.
You know, Exit Wound. He held his own. So, as a guy that wasn't a quote unquote trained actor, you felt he basically embodied whatever that role is and made it his own, and really X shined through any role that he took on in any movie.
Yeah, he did. And like you say, Belly, man, was a hood classic. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you how many times I watched Belly. Man. And, you know, I talked about it on IG, of course. And count that money. Count the money. You know, just, you know, that whole classic
that's your
scene.
Man.
That's your man. That's Keith right there, man. You know, that the way he talk. That's Keith right there, man. You know what I'm saying? And Nicky, you could talk to it as a rapper. You know, DMX just had that. There wasn't people that flowed like him that have that way that he would do rhymes and do it for a long time. You know, it's that real quick and then a real slow, because, you know, it's that.
It was authentic.
Right.
Yeah, you know,
yeah. No, he's one of those rare cats. He's one of those rare MCs, too. Like, he didn't have to be overly complicated for his stuff to be poignant. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to do a lot of extra metaphorical stuff. He could be very deliberate with what he was saying, but it was the way he said it and how nuanced his delivery was that made him stand out. You know.
Yeah.
Because if you, like you said, at that time, me, bro, I didn't have nobody in the same tier as him. I didn't have no Jay-Z in there. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't. And Jay was making some dope stuff, but he wasn't hitting my heart like DMX was.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, if you was to just go like lyric for lyric, Jay-Z stuff is going to be a lot more complicated. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot more, you know, things that are underneath the grid there. But it's just the way X was putting it together. The same thing like with Pac and Big. Right. You know, like when I look at a Pac and Big deal, I think of a guy that was more talented in the area of how he delivered his stuff, and how the emotion carried what's said, versus a guy that had a lot more skill with like the lyricist side of things. You know what I mean? So that's how I seen the X and J situation. You know, and X, like I say, he had all the potential to rule the game for a long time, bro.
Yeah,
he had it.
Yeah, you making me think about talking about he wasn't intricate, but I remember him and Jadakiss had that song "Here We Go Again" where they was throwing shots at Beans and Jay. And just the way that X came in, and I'm gonna edit myself, but he's like, "I only gave you the crown so I could shoot it off your head." I was like, "Damn!" But it was the way he said it. I was like, "Golly!"
I wonder who he was talking about.
He's very straight with his delivery. Very straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't gonna be no beating around the bush.
Yeah, man. Let me switch your gears real quick, Nicky. I wanted you to do this for me. So, y'all, we had Nicky the last time that he was on the show. He talked about putting out a project. Mm-hmm. So since then, the project has come out. It has been released. So give us some of your. So it was 4 tracks. I know that, right?
Yes, sir.
Four songs. I might be able to try to play some of this, even though I got you on the phone. But give me some of your. You know, this was like your first official work. You know, how did you feel? You know, it finally coming out, and you know, what do you feel about putting out something? You know, going forward.
Man, it was a relief, you know, to actually put it out there, mm-hmm. and get that in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it almost felt like a feat during the whole process, bro. Like it just I just started to lock in, mm-hmm. and I think that conversation we had on the show was a big catalyst for me to get that mm-hmm. that motivation to finally just go ahead and like zone in and try to get it going, you know. Mm-hmm. But it just felt right, man. It felt like the time was right. Mm-hmm. Felt like I had something to say. Definitely with being at home more from COVID, you know, there's different time opportunities, I guess, that kind of become available. So that helped. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was liberating to say the least, man. It gave me back a very joyful experience that I had kind of lapsed on for some while. Mm-hmm. And, which is just writing and getting into that critical thought process that it takes to construct lines and stuff like that, and try to actually make something enjoyable when you listen to it.
Yeah. Now, take me down this road, and one of the my favorite tracks on, I think probably, I don't know. Again, this is, y'all always tell y'all, Nicky is my favorite rapper that I know in real life. You know what I'm saying? It's Jay-Z, then it's him. So just to let you know where I rank him. But Mirror Talk was, you know, I mean, I listened to Mirror Talk and just let it rock. And, I mean, that song does something to me when I hear that song, man. But you talk to me about the process, and I want the people to kind of understand the process of being, because I think sometimes people take for granted the effort that it goes into for creatives and people that are artists, because the people, you know, musicians and, you know, actors and, again, straight up artists, or whether it's an architect or whatever, all these people are artists in different ways. And sometimes I think we take for granted the effort that it takes and the pull on you to actually, especially when you're writing introspective things that are, you know, kind of going into who you are as a person. But Nicky, can you talk to that a little bit, that process, and what kind of toll that takes on you to write, deep things like that are really personal and stuff like that?
Yeah. So the idea behind the song was like to stay. It's like a self-motivation thing,
Mm-hmm.
Talk to myself daily and push myself to pursue those passions and hearts that had carried me for so long as a youth.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically to address like gifts that I believe are given, and that was a big thing that we had talked about, was that we're all given a gift
Mm-hmm.
of some sort to help insulate us from our daily lives and struggles
Mm-hmm.
and the things that we face out here in the world. Now, whether or not we choose to utilize those gifts to sustain our story. But coming to on this project, I realized, one, I had neglected that gift,
Mm-hmm.
and two, how do I recover that passion, or recover the process anyway, and then maintain it,
Mm-hmm.
And so the mirror talk idea is not only like, okay, I'm talking to myself about how to stay in a place of using this gift for the purpose of sustaining myself, but also sharing that idea with my children,
Right.
In a manner that's understandable, so that when they grow up, they don't lose sight of those gifts that they were given, and they also are not afraid to pursue them if that's what brings them joy ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a conversation sort of to myself and indirectly to my children,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody else that has a gift that they may be neglecting, or not utilizing to the potential that they could be.
Yeah.
So and that's so basically that's the concept behind it. But to write in that manner is very difficult, because I just like to kind of write in my rhyme pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty intricate, and
Mm-hmm.
I get lost in trying to make sure everything is lining up specific, and there's internal rhymes and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
so it can take me a while, and then I'm trying to do that in the same time frame that I'm trying to still be a father,
Right.
still maintain a job, and still be a husband.
Yeah.
And so it's very, with the whole album though, I did get into like a little zone thing. So I was
Mm-hmm.
writing, and I was having these flurries of inspiration. And like I say, that's kind of lends itself to the idea that this is your gift, man. You need to do this because you're going to be sustained through it, as long as you do it according
Mm-hmm.
to the will that I have set out for you. And that's how I felt, man. Like God had me, So
Mm-hmm.
it was a good time. I'm definitely gonna keep doing it. I've been writing still afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to find something to follow it up that I think is gonna be better.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely feel like, again, for me, it's just, and we always talk about it, guys, and the purpose of the show and what we're doing right now is a big part of it is legacy. You know what I'm saying? It's the legacy. It's what he's talking about is how Skeens and I started better than your average. Making that choice in life and saying I'm not just going to be average in this life. And then the how did we get here concept of how did we get to where we are now? Because we, again, have always been taught to trace things back. And then it's also how do we get to where we're trying to go? You know what I mean? And for me, Mirror Talk was, I believe there's a few rhymes in there that you say that I can't, I won't try to quote them, but I believe there was a part in there where you were talking about that you cried blind, and then you were talking about trying to elevate your pipeline. You know what I mean? And that's really what all of this is about. We're trying to build the groundwork now so that the pipeline and the ones that come after us can have it better. You know what I'm saying? My boy King Kai that is always on is talking about the goal is to leave it better than we got it. You know what I mean? And Skeens and I were just talking about, for me, for example, and sometimes in our culture, and we're going to get to Skeens' topic here in just a second, but sometimes in our culture, you will hear people you know, we talk about this YOLO lifestyle. You only live once. You know, you can't spend it when you're dead kind of mind frame and stuff like that, right? But if your legacy mind frame, to me, that's like crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? To say that I want to try to see it all and blow it all in my lifetime. So for me personally, the fact I was telling Skeens, when we got our first apartment, Nicky, the fact that my parents gave us couches and beds and, you know, a little rinky-dink TV that me and Skeens was watching. We didn't have cable, so we was watching Beverly Hills Cop and Martin and all that kind of stuff all like it was brand new. That meant we didn't have to go into debt when we first moved out as far as trying to get furniture, right? The fact that my in-laws were able to help me with a down payment on my house, that means I didn't have to go again in the, you know what I'm saying? So it's every little thing like that that we can do for the next generation behind us that stops them from having to start at square one. You know what I mean? That's what the goal should be. It should be that we don't want them to start at, you know, and I think a lot of times with the previous generation, you may have that mind frame. Well, I had to get out there and do it. I was, you know, and even the whole idea that you got to put a kid out straight when they turn 18. You haven't equipped them. They're not ready. They have no provision. But you said, well, you 18, you get out. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what are we actually trying to do as far as, are we trying to set them up for success or for failure? I've been on my own since I was 4.
But you know what?
Yeah, no.
Quite.
I mean, yeah, you got a great point, bro.
Hey.
Definitely.
Oh boy, that's hilarious. But you know what? Also, is I brainstorming. You know, just thinking as you talk about YOLO.
Yeah.
Another acronym for the YOLO.
Okay.
As I'm brainstorming.
Yeah.
You're obviously lonely and acting.
Okay, you're lonely and okay, YOLO. Yeah, so
because you know we as we talk about, we have to like romanticize everything,
right?
But at the same time, in the midst of romanticizing everything, we are as sensitive as we've ever been.
Oh yeah,
so
super
I want. Yeah. So we gotta sit and like throw these things out. It has to be something with those different things. Hey, you only live one. It ain't tricking if you got it. All these different phrases to make you feel better about using materialistic things to make you feel better about you.
Right. Yeah.
Because you take that when it all goes away, that empty when everything is gone is really gonna magnify who you are. Indeed.
So, taking it a step forward, man, a part of us building legacy and trying to improve is the love aspect, right? The love aspect of things, and again, y'all know Skeens and I, in one way or another, we always talking about relationships, you know. So, Skeens and I were talking as per usual the other day about love, right? And you posed a question of sorts to me. What was that question?
Listening with love. You know, I think too often as we talk about, you know, this cancel culture, everyone is looking for a reason to be offended,
right?
Instead of looking for a reason to love one another. So if we take the time to actually strip down as we talk the different materialistic things, our differences, whether we're talking about sexual orientation, you know, color, creed, all so on and so forth. We start stripping all those different things out the way. Only thing that we have now, we're left with the spirit of who you are and who I am.
Right.
And how do those spirits intertwine and the connection? So instead of leading with this is me and this is my stance and if you ain't with me, you're against me type thing, start looking for reasons to actually want to build a bond with each other.
Right.
So we talked about one of my best friends in college was an atheist, atheist.
Yeah.
We have a great relationship. You met him, you know, so that's my guy.
Yep.
I couldn't get him to come to church.
Right.
And he couldn't get me to turn my back on my faith.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But if you met us, you didn't see that the differences. You saw the things that we had in common.
Right.
That build that bond.
Right. There you go.
So I think if we are more willing to put your pride aside and stop being a me first person.
Right.
You know, in terms of sports, it says there's no I in team.
Right.
If we take that I away and actually start working on building a team,
right,
we start building better communities.
Right.
We start building better relationships in the houses. Better relationship with our friends, our co-workers, our kids, your neighbors.
Right.
Most of us don't even know who our neighbors are.
Right.
You know, so when we start listening to people and get a understanding of who you are, I don't have to agree with everything you are.
Right.
But I do have to respect you as a human.
There you go. Yeah.
I have to love you as a person. And what can we do, as Kai said, to leave this place better than it was before we got here?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that we need to really start, like, figuring out ways of really listening to understand and to love each other.
There you go. Yeah, you have to listen to understand, not to respond. You know, that's one of the old adages you have. But Nicky, when you hear we have to listen with love, what does that mean to you?
Just come to the table willing to hear things that don't necessarily align with your points of view all the time.
Right.
And have an open heart that you may be introduced to a perspective that will change how you see things or will solidify how you see things. But at the end of the day, it's your preference and your choice. And it's the same as that person that you're listening to. They have that same, prerogative.
Right.
So you listen with love, and you don't become judgmental or aggressive in your manner towards them. And if you see that there's maybe a way you can enlighten them to something they weren't aware of, you offer that to them, and hopefully they listen to you with love as well.
Right. Yeah. I always always like to think that our family, we do a good job as far as being people that have people from all different walks of life that we cool with and that we show love to. And, Nicky is one of those people, y'all. And I was sharing with him the other day that I got about 5 outside of, my dad and, uncles and different people like that. But as far as men that I've made relationships with in my life, it's like 5 guys that I look at and hold at a certain esteem and really that have been so super solid my entire time. And Skeens and Nicky are two of the 5, right? And I always, I don't brag, but I like to brag that we are dudes that no matter what's happened in these, 20 years that we've known each other, there's never been like an official fallout ever.
I can't remember an argument.
We never, you know what I'm saying? We've never, ever, had an issue like that because we communicate out of love in a certain place in a certain way to where it's not disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Because I know some people, I understand that, say for instance, when you disagree with somebody, whether it's your spouse or whatever, that things can get heated and get out of hand, sometimes, but I'm really not on board with that. You know what I'm saying? As far as when I'm communicating out of a position of love, you know what I'm saying? And with Nicky, this whole entire time we've known each other, since he was literally a teenager and I was just out of teens to now here I am just turning 39 years old. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we've never, ever, ever, and not to say that he never has had to check me or pull me to the side on something and say, AJ, you kind of what? Okay, cool, got it. It wasn't like I was in my feelings or nothing. As soon as we deal with it, it's done.
Yeah,
it's done right. I mean, literally right then. And I think one thing I always talk about, guys, is that people ask me why am I good with a dynamic amount of people, you know, a variety of people, I'll say. And I say this is when people say, you know, people throw out, I'm a people person. Most people are people persons only when it's, again, conditional. I'm a conditional people person. If you align with my thoughts, my ideas,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? If you're doing what I want you to do, I'm a people person all day. But what about when people come and they are representing something different or have a different point of view? Are you still a people person? You know what I'm saying? So I think you have to think about those things. And as Skeens was saying, we're trying to build this community that we have to interact with each other that way. And it's no different than when we see, you know, talking about in our community, when it's young brothers and stuff getting into it with each other, they're definitely not listening with love.
No. Most of the time, I think most people talk with earmuffs on.
They do.
So if I have earmuffs and you do too, I don't hear anything that you're saying, and then I'm mad that you don't hear me.
Right. But one thing, when you talk with earmuffs, you still know what you're saying, though.
Yeah. And, you know, we talk about community. As we look at, like, your wedding photo, right?
That's one of the things I use, yeah.
The wedding photo is the utopia of what we would wish every,
right.
society would be.
Right.
We have the melting pot of everything in that photo.
We had Asians, we had some Hispanics in there, we had some black folks, you know what I'm saying?
Mixed, we got
some straight Caucasians in there, we got some mixed folks.
Name it. Any and everything, any
right.
organization or whatever you want to call it is represented within that photo.
Yeah.
And it's all out of, and it was there. Why?
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
No I in this moment. It's about us and celebration of not just you, us as
a whole.
As a whole.
Hey, y'all, it was such a crazy moment, y'all, because Skeens was the best man, and he actually took pictures that day, and I don't know.
and I still have PTSD. I'm traumatized. Y'all. I'm on the couch.
Skeens took pictures that day, y'all. He danced when we came into the reception, and he has me and wifey watch it every once in a while. He came out of pocket with this speech where the photographer caught it. There's a small glimpse of time where I almost broke. Whatever you said, I don't remember what you said.
I don't remember either.
I know you don't remember.
I was in the restroom and they were like, "Hey, somebody knocked on the door." I was washing my hands like, "Yo, trying to give a speech." I was like, "Huh?"
I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, it's because I went to go wash my hands, so I knocked it like, "Time for the best man speak." You're like, "Okay, what you gonna wear?" I said, I have no musical training.
I have no musical training. I'm William Hung. I have no musical training.
I don't even remember what was said. I just had the moments. Okay, cool.
So yeah, man. I think that's a key in the community, though, man. Is how are we really operating with each other out of a place of love? And I told this on some episodes back, but I had this questionnaire that I was sending out to couples, and I actually got Nicky's and his wife. I think did I send that couples questionnaire to y'all, Nick? Yeah. So Nicky has some funny stuff that he said. I have to go back and try to pull it, but one thing where, and it truly is my heart's desire. And y'all be like, "Why, Jay? Why y'all talking about your wife?" I mean, this is my world. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm about.
AKA Fifth.
Yeah. Yeah. Mario nicknamed her Fifth. We got another friend, Junior, that calls her a Mogwai. I never told you that before, Nicky. Anyway, whenever he would come by the house, he go Mogwai. But anyway,
my brother.
She told me off of that questionnaire that one of the things that she appreciated about me is that she knows no matter what I say to her, that she knows that it's coming from a place of love and that I mean no malice towards her. And Nicky, you know, as husbands, bruh, sometimes we trying to convey things to these shit. You be like, it just like the communication ain't going right, but it's something that we built over the time where it really hit home for me. Because that really is my intent with my spouse and everything and every communication. I have no ill intent towards her. None whatsoever. Like, I can't be mad at this chick. You know what I'm saying? We can get into it. And, you know, I'm still trying to tap her on the shoulder, you know, later on. Like, hey, what's up? You know, Can we make some action pop? I know you was mad earlier, but I'm still trying.
Here with the Lenny Williams.
You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm still snuggle up, man. You still, man. You know, I'm trying to snuggle up on the cake still. You know what I'm saying, man? So, you know what? Let me ask you this, Nicky, because you know the funny part of Nicky and I's commonality, y'all, is that our wives have similar upbringings and ways of communicating, or they did, and Nicky and I are very similar in the way that we communicate. So in learning to deal with those communication differences in love, you know, how did you navigate that to where you guys are in this, you know, space now where, you know, I think y'all are professional level communicators. Not saying that you don't miss it, but, you know, I think you're definitely way better than you were. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, brother. Just being aware of our weaknesses and you know, patience. I mean, there's moments where I think we both have to kind of put ourselves in the other shoes to understand why they're maybe reacting to a subject in a certain way or becoming slightly aggressive, you know. And just knowing each other and spending the type of time we spend with each other, it makes it a lot easier to recognize that sometimes maybe a quick moment of aggression is not necessarily directed at you per se. Maybe it's coming from a place, you know, it's coming from a place that is an internal thing that is being dealt with, and you got to recognize like this is not personal or whatever, and then you know find a way to convey to your partner like, hey man, that's the way you did that really bothered me. You know, like I need you to understand this. Something I can tolerate because it's going to take me to a place where I'm going to end up being aggressive as well, and then I don't think anything is going to be productive. It'll be done in a constructive manner. So let's return back to this place of love that we have for one another and try to rebuild from that point. You know, but again, it's just patience and knowing each other, and you know, having the fortitude to weather certain situations because you know that there's something better on the other side of that, you know?
That's what's up. Hey, I got a question to you married men.
Okay, hit it. Don't ask us nothing crazy.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
That's off mic. So the group chat.
Okay,
all right. Could you say that love is the picture frame for the memories that you create? The amount so when we say that, like, you can get some good picture frames, like the Hobby Lobby. When James used to work at Hobby Lobby, you know, the good picture frames, or you can go to Dollar Tree and get those, you know, those frames that, you know, that falls apart. So the amount of love is the strength of that frame.
Right.
The stronger the frame, the better the outcome of those memories are that you create amongst yourself with your wives,
right,
or your kids and things and so forth.
He said a question, but he kind of answered it at the same time.
Yeah. What Paul Mooney said. Yeah. One
man's his own father.
But yeah, what do y'all think about that?
I'm gonna throw to you first, Nick. I got a thought, but go ahead. I'm gonna throw to you.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy for it, though. I mean, definitely. If there's no love there and y'all trying to do things, there's not going to be a lot of joy. And I think joy is directly attributed to, you know, the quality of the life you're living. And if you're partnered up with somebody, you should have good quality love between y'all.
Right.
So if that ain't there, your quality of life is going to be fairly miserable, I'm assuming. And those memories ain't gonna be that great, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely. I mean, you gotta have a strong foundation of love to sustain everything else that you're building off of that platform.
For sure, and I think I was listening to the big homie OG Kevin Samuels, and he had a live where he was talking about why is, I don't know if he said to modern women or to women, he was asking why is sex so important. like a man's sexual prowess, and he was talking about more so the black men by black women. Is the black man's sexual prowess like to an extent where they fetishize a black man, right? And we can have that discussion later. Push that swipe that one to the side. But I think the key thing that he was trying to put out is that there's these other, while that is important, there's these other foundational things that have to be in a relationship, right? And I know when you start off in the relationships, you know, you on that euphoric high of physicality and lust and everything, but what's going to sustain you after that? You know what I'm saying? And whether it's, you call it a picture frame, whether you call it the foundation, you know, whether you call it the building blocks, whatever it is, it has to be built on love because it makes the rest of it easier. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And one thing I salute about Nicky and his wife is that, y'all, like I said, he's a locomotive engineer. He spends a lot of time away from home. And, you know, I've talked with his wife about, she does things to make sure that they still connect. You know what I'm saying? She tells me about the things that she does for him when he gets home, that this and that is like this. And, you know, I didn't know Nicky like a nice bubble bath with essential oils and emollients to rub on himself and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know you was a bath dude like that, but hey,
his favorite is the bubble gum flavor.
Cowboy, take me away. I like this dude. I thought I knew him this whole time.
Come on, man. Where you pull that one from?
He got a plush robe. He got a plush robe. Hey, he wear leisure suits to bed.
But no, she was sharing with me that, you know, that there's certain things that she does. You know what I'm saying? And Nicky and his wife do take those that time away alone. One of my favorite pictures of them is y'all had made a trip. I don't know, it was probably, it's been a COVID of a year, so maybe like 2 years ago when y'all were in New Orleans. And there's that picture with y'all, I don't know where y'all seen, I think Liz had on maybe like some red shorts or something like that. And
yeah.
But again, that moment, just that picture captured the moment. And I just love how y'all get together and connect like that. You know what I'm saying? And how you still are investing the work, you know, y'all, I'm always talking about the work into the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because when you interject job, kids, bills, family, there's all this stuff that's ripping and trying to tear away at the relationship. And you got to make sure that mom and dad are solid first.
Sure. I got another question.
Oh, here we go.
Why isn't listening a curriculum?
Man.
What was that? What was that, Martin?
Why is listening not a curriculum?
Well, I think it's because there's more currency, if you will, in being the one that's doing the talking.
And exactly. So the currency is being the one who's talking, right? Mm-hmm. What is your return on investment? If you're always talking and not listening,
right?
What's the return on investment?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why, you know, we talk about the things of why isn't listening. But I think if we were better listeners or active listeners, I think we could solve a lot of our own problems.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Or problems that you have with other people, just listening.
Right. I don't do a Denzel, y'all, but you know, one of my favorite parts in Training Day when he was talking to Hoyt, and he's like, you're in a privileged position to learn a thing or two. Keep your eyes open and your mouth shut. You know, so you know, that's why I think they say like we have actually more things about us that are observational and for vision and for sight. You got 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. You know what I'm saying? So like they say, you're supposed to watch and listen more than you're supposed to talk.
But we work in reverse.
We do, but I think what plays a big part in us wanting to talk so much, though, is our ego as we're on the show talking. But
no I in team.
You know what I'm saying? Your ego wants you want to be, before you want to listen, you want to be heard. And a lot of times as we talk about it, goes back to, you know, things that you may have dealt with in your childhood and things of that nature. That again, we put more currency into those that do the speaking and the elocution, but we don't spend enough time listening to our homies. You know, like Nicky, you know, is a great listener. You know, or sometimes he'll hit me and I'm just listening to what he's talking about. Skeens has been my sounding board for almost my whole life. You know what I'm saying? And I think you have to, as far as listening, you have to have that thing in you where you don't mind, because I can be talking to Skeens and then I want some feedback as far as, hey man, did I miss the mark on that? I need you to check me and tell me, did I miss it? You know what I'm saying? And he'd be like, yeah, yeah, that one you tripping.
Which you bring up a good point. I think sometimes listening can also mean that you're wrong. Right,
exactly.
You know, you find out that, hey,
ego,
I completely missed the mark.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a complete reality check.
Yeah, Nicky. Now, would you, in your way of communication, Nick, what would you say is your communicational strength, and what would you say is your communicational weakness?
I think some of what y'all talking about. I think I like to hear myself talk.
Okay.
I recognize that. I mean, you know, I like because for me, and it's not about other people hearing me per se.
Yeah.
It's about having the opportunity to articulate my thoughts in a manner where I can hear them back. You know, because sometimes when you think things out in your mind, it's not the same as when you actually hear it spoken.
Right.
So I think that's a weakness in general, just because I wish I could just think things through internally and not have to express them to everybody for me to feel like I got a grasp on what it is I'm thinking myself.
Right.
But as far as, like, you know, the strength of that is that I do enjoy hearing others do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I enjoy getting other people's perspectives and gleaning bits of their knowledge, you know, and sometimes getting jewels dropped on me by things that, you know, I would have never even considered or thought of because of their life experiences. And I think that's a strength because it's helped me, I don't know how many times over in daily life and in my careers, by being able to say, like, or reference back to maybe one little conversation somebody had with me years ago, and they just left me with a little bit of a gem, and that thing has guided me, you know, throughout life. Yeah. So that's a strength, because some people can't do that. Some people can't listen to others or are unwilling to do it. They may have the capacity to do it, but they don't have the willingness to do so, and they miss out on a lot of knowledge, you know.
Yes, sir.
So I'll say that's a strength.
It's funny that you say that, because I think we have that in common, that as being a person that's a talker and a, you know, that quote unquote person that doesn't meet a stranger, that you can become a person that's running your mouth all the time. But at the same time, one of my attributes and why I've been able to build relationships with people is because I will sit there and can be quiet and just, okay, how did you feel about that? You know, it's just something simple like that, and just sit there and let somebody just kind of run down their whole situation to me and take it in. You know what I'm saying?
So another question.
Uh-oh, here we go.
How important is restraint?
Wait, what type of restraint?
You know, you can throw it in. Okay, you're a married man, right?
Yeah.
How important is restraint within your relationship? When I say that, like, sometimes you have to be willing to put ego aside, or, hey, I'm not gonna say I don't need the last word, or putting the other person's first. Like, so, you know, as a single guy, you know, sometimes you have to show restraint of not talking to everybody that wants to talk to you.
Got you. Okay.
There's a form of restraint within that, but in general, in the day-to-day, in terms of maintaining a happy household or positive outlook on life, how important is restraint?
I want to address that, but I wanted to ask you two, Skeens, what would you say your communicational strength and weakness is?
The strength and weakness is that I am honest to a fault.
so you, ladies and gentlemen, he cannot show restraint.
No. When I say that is, You never have to really. You never have to know what I'm thinking.
This is very true.
And that's why I say I can be honest to a fault, because you know exactly what I'm thinking.
Right.
Because I'm gonna express it.
Okay.
Which in terms depending on perspective, can be a good or bad thing. Because some people, as you know, people don't think men can talk the way we talk.
Right.
Or hold these different conversations.
Right.
It can be culture shock to have someone who is not hiding their thought process.
Right. Yep.
Or not willing to engage in certain things, or like to really be willing to articulate their feelings, or go in depth about different things. Now,
that's true.
I am also a person that I will not argue with you. I look, shoot the deuces before we argue, or I want.
So would you say you cut off things too soon?
I'm not gonna say I cut off things too soon, because I give a lot of warning. Hey, I come in the door with a warning, with a disclaimer. Hey, put out like I got the royal scroll, right? But yeah, I think that is now I will say the fact of my biggest issue is that I will not tolerate. I won't go. I won't argue.
Right.
Now that it can be looked at as a bad thing to some people.
Right.
Like, you don't want to have this court. No, I love healthy rhetoric.
Yes, of course.
A healthy debate.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of unnecessary arguments.
Right.
I'm not going to engage in that.
Skeens we've talked many times over the years where certain people have tried to kind of line him up for an emotional response. Not going to happen.
Can't do it.
He doesn't fall for that. No.
Like, hey, look here. It's been cool.
Well, I'm going to do this and this. Okay. See you later. But back to your question though, Nicky, I'm gonna say for me, he's saying restraint, but I'm gonna call it tact and maturity in a relationship.
Even better.
That's what I call it. And that is a skill that you have to develop. Because everything, again, as talking about my ego and being a talker, I have learned over the years, and I noticed, since I'm almost 40, I gotta keep talking. I gotta keep hitting it all. So as almost 40-year-old man, I have learned that, Nicky, that everything that I want to say or is in my mind is not profitable. You know what I'm saying? It's not profitable for me to say everything that I'm thinking all the time.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
So, like you said, with tact and maturity, I've learned that I'm mature enough to evaluate the situation and say, because again, going all the way back to, because if I'm communicating from a place of love, I want this conversation and this interaction to actually leave on a positive note with some growth and some places for us to say, okay, how can we get better, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm looking at the conversation, and I consider myself a conversational Neo in the Matrix, I feel like I can see it in slow motion. And I'm like, if I interject this little thing in here, is this going to tip this to the negative or the positive? And if I know that it's going to tip it to the negative, my ego, I'm mature enough to take my ego down and say, Jay, you don't even need to say that. It's not profitable. It's not going to take you anywhere, to a good space.
Yeah. And I only bring this up because there are people that are looking for answers or understanding to these questions. In school they said there's no bad question.
For sure.
Because there's someone who needs to hear how to maneuver.
Right. And I think that Nicky, maybe I'm right or I could be wrong, but I feel like I have a proper assessment. I think Nicky is a little bit more of a hothead than me when it comes to certain times when he might get his see, he laughs, so go ahead, speak for yourself.
Challenge. Are you not entertained?
So how do you balance that restraint, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I don't always balance it, bro. I come from a long line of furious fighters. So,
hey, he would set it up.
I think I'm doing fairly well considering, the history and the line, the lineage that I was derived from. But Yeah, I mean, man, sometimes you can't make all your points, man. Like,
right, yeah.
Like you said, you got to know when to hold back, because not everything is going to profit you in the manner that you might think it would, and does it lend itself to reconciliation?
There you go. There you go. Very good point.
And if it doesn't, then you really need to consider if there's something that you want to win at, And that's the thing. Like, it's not always about winning every battle. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a constant daily process to intercede with myself when I'm in them situations, and I do get a little bit emotional or riled up on certain things. And my wife is also very quick to let it be known when she's not feeling something. So,
and Liz is his again, y'all noticed from before. I got a Liz, he got a Liz. His Liz, that chick, she's similar to my sister-in-law, where she can just hit you with a dagger, and you be like, have I been stabbed? You be like, I just see red on my shirt, but
yeah, she got a cold side, bro.
Yeah, man, she got sharp wit, man, very sharp. And when you meet her, she's very just non-assuming and very meek and quiet. And as I got to know Liz, I started seeing, I would look. And it's like in the movies where the samurai come and slice and you didn't know, and Nicky would just be sitting there like, man, I just got sliced again. I'm like, man, I just heard the blade, but I didn't see what happened. So, and
mental war going on.
But it's funny when you in love with somebody, man, that they can strum your chords like nobody else. It's just, I have a very sarcastic mouth. I consider myself a light comedian sometimes. And I'm just to the point now with Liz where I won't even have to fully say something. And she'd be like, what you mean? I'm like, you didn't have to say nothing. So I'm like, this is again where woman logic comes in. I didn't say anything, and then you like, I ain't have to say nothing. You know what I was saying without me saying something. I'm like, but I didn't say nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, this is crazy, man. Can't win for losing in this piece, man.
No. It is like that, but like you say, they just. I mean, I tell you what, I knew that I loved my wife because when we first got together and had a couple years in the game, I guess, something like that. There was a period where she had made me so mad, and I had never been that mad at anything in my life.
Right.
And I was unaware of that type of emotional registry. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, man, I've never been here before. I've never been this mad with anyone, and right. I had to realize, well, it's because you really love this woman. And this is when you have the extreme end of your love, you also have this extreme side to what could be, a detrimental feeling.
Yeah.
And it made me aware of how potent that love really was, man. And again, how I needed to control certain elements of myself in regards to that feeling that I had for her, But yeah, I knew she was the one because she made me the angriest.
That's it, man. That's it, man. I know. I think I might have told y'all this before, but when me and Liz were dating, I can't remember what we were arguing about. But Nicky, I felt like it was one of those nights we were at midnight bowling, right? And I can't remember. I think it might have been that same night when she told me like one of her ex had came up there mad or something or something. So I'm like, why didn't you tell me that while we was there? So anyway, we back and forth going, and I think she had drove. So it was like a long street to get to my parents' house on either side when they lived in Cove. And we sitting in the car arguing, and I'm like, let me out the car. Yeah, I'm getting out the car. But I made sure I was only like 2 blocks away from my parents' house. But I wanted to go for effect, though. For effect, I wanted. And she said, no, don't get out the car. Don't get out the car. But I made sure I was close.
Conversation.
I made sure I was close, though, man. But just silly stuff like that when you dumb and drunk in love, as Beyonce coined the phrase, man. But I think, again, as you mature, the fights like that should be becoming less, right? And then we got to go back to the drawing board, Nicky, if we're still in that space this many years in the game and we still there, okay, we should have been and evaluated some before this. But I'm going to take this turn real quick, guys, is that we can argue about what happened between my man Sweetie and was it Quavo? In the elevator, right? Nikki, did you see that little clip of Quavo and the chick Sweetie, like it looked like she swung on him, and then they were like tussling for a Call of Duty bag or something like that.
No, that was supposed to have been like a jury bag.
Okay, some people said Call of Duty. So then I did hear jury bag
like today. Jury bag. So supposedly those bags usually carry
a nice amount of stuff,
real money type of jewelry.
So here's the thing, though. I've seen a number of women saying it, and in the prominent side, I saw Adrian Broner saying that if he doesn't have a relationship like that, where they're interacting like that, that he don't want it. How foolish is that?
Well, the first thing you ask, and now I know, and it's crazy because Adrian, Pops used to be around him all the time,
right? Yep.
But what type of relationships was he privy to?
Right.
Coming up, like, did your dad have those type of relationships with whoever he was?
That
with?
makes me feel like maybe he did.
Aunts, so on and so forth. Because, as you talk about, some people think that you don't love them unless you're willing to act out of character on a consistent basis. That's like the trigger or their like moment to say, oh, he or she really do care about me.
Right.
Man, look, I can't tell people how to deal with your household. Every relationship is different. Every relationship is catered to that relationship and that person, those people. Mm-hmm. If it's successful and it's working for you, God bless you.
Right.
But if the success rate of your relationships, even though you like that type of relationship, has not bear any type of fruit or longevity of relationship, then change your religion.
Okay.
Because your doctrine, what you believe in, apparently it's not working.
Absolutely. Now, Nikki, I didn't hear if you said that you saw. Did you see the clip of the video of him in the elevator?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, it's basically you. The elevator door opens. She swings on him. I think he weaves it or something. And then he has like a bag. Again, they're saying it was jewelry or it was Call of Duty, whatever. She tries to like grab the bag. So he kind of like, I don't know if you want to say bumps her or pushes her on the ground and like takes the bag from her.
Like threw in it was almost like the bag was there. He like brung in the
They were both kind of trying to get it, that kind of thing.
She can't leave with the bag or throw the bag or whatever. But in my opinion, under no circumstance should it ever get to the point that we should have physical altercation.
None whatsoever.
Because when a man puts his hands on a woman, it's real time.
Yes, sir.
Same time, under no circumstance is a woman supposed to put her hands on a man.
Nobody should put hands on anybody.
No one has, regardless of your orientation, you don't have the right to touch anyone in that manner. You don't get a pass because you're a woman and you're quote unquote titled as the weaker vessel. To say that it's okay for you to do these things and the other person's supposed to have the strength.
Right.
Neither way.
Right.
It's unacceptable. I don't care how you feel, what you think about. I can care less about your feelings when it comes to that.
Right, agreed.
It should never come to that. And if it ever gets to the point that that's where you got to get to, cut ties, because it's not a one-time thing. Right. That's usually when you start talking that unless you're going to receive some type of, if it's a one-time thing, let me straighten it up. There need to be corrective action amongst the two of you to make sure this never takes place again. Right. Whether we're talking about counseling, therapy, whatever it is that you need to do to get right together. If it's going to be a continuation, sever ties.
Right, I agree.
Because it's going to continue. If you're okay with it continuing to happen, it's going to get to a higher level.
Right.
And then at that time, that place, we don't know who's willing to take it, where they're willing to take it.
Right.
And are you willing to deal with the consequences of that person's action or match that person's energy when it gets to a point of no return?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed, man. I met this, well, I didn't really meet this, but there's a young lady, and there was a situation where significant other, I was there, and well, some people I know were there, and you know, you kind of would see these two, and every time you see them, it was kind of, you know, you see tension in the situation and things like that, you know, and you kind of like, I wonder what that's like when, you know, we not around, you know what I'm saying? Until it kind of came to a head one day, and the guy was putting hands on the chick, and we had to call the authorities. And so I go to speak to the young lady, and she didn't want us to do it. The crazy part of it, right? Yeah. But it made me think, like you said, what was her frame of reference to where she thinks that that's something that should be defended and that he should not be held responsible for what he did to her. You know what I'm saying? So,
like when you talked to Kai and his sister, matter of fact,
days
ago, when she was saying how their stepdad, I think their stepdad took her out on her first date, to show her how she's supposed to be treated.
Right. Absolutely.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's a real frame of reference to understand the guidelines of the correct way someone is supposed to show you that they really value you as a person, regardless of the outcome of what could happen at the end of the night or down the road, but to actually show you that they care and they respect and value you.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Nicky, and we don't keep you long. I know you gotta get yourself situated, man. But Skeens just made me think about that, man. Because you,
I just watched the video you was talking about.
Okay. So give me your perspective of what you think based off what you saw.
I mean, I don't know if I saw the whole thing. It just looked like they was kind of wrestling over the box.
Yep.
And then she kind of like gave up. And I mean, it didn't look like he was. Like you said, either way, the physicality of the whole thing is concerning. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I don't know what the context is of what's going on in that scene.
Yeah, well, like I said, right before when that elevator door opens, again, you don't know what happened before, but right when it opens, she like swing on the dude. You know what I'm saying? Which again, if we in a relationship where we got to swing on each other, I mean, we ain't supposed to be together. That's it.
No, for sure. Yeah, it should never get to that point.
That's what I'm saying.
It's definitely not. It's not healthy.
No.
And you know, that's a very volatile state to be living in. And it's not good for people with children either.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go. Now, Nicky, you have, you know, my God, baby. I got sons. Of course, I'm showing them a certain thing, you know, of course. But as having a daughter, what kind of things have you implemented, you know, for you and her, or kind of how you're showing her how you move as a husband, as her dad, and, you know, for her frame of reference of how she be looking for, you know, at some point, we don't want to talk about it, but a boyfriend, or, you know what I'm saying, Nick?
Ooh, yeah. Well, you know, just I try to be an example of what I want her to see as the standard in her life.
Yep.
And I try to do that in everything that I do regarding the household that she lives in. You know, as far as how I treat her brothers, how I treat her mother, how I treat my parents. I try to give her the examples that I want her to look for when she goes for her partner in life.
Yep.
And you know, there's not a physical element to anything we do here.
Yep.
And again, like you get back to, everything can be addressed in a manner that doesn't resolve in violence. And that can be applied to all facets of life. You know, a lot of things that we are dealing with in this world are because things are devolving into a violent state, and that's starting at home. You know, so I'm trying to build into her mind that she can be bigger than that, and that she can handle situations through her intellect and through her capabilities to come up with the different solutions to things. And that's really, you know, the principles that I want guiding her in everything in life. That there's always a different way to handle something, and you don't have to accept mistreatment of any form. So,
that's dope.
Definitely she's you know, I want her to be able to have a solid foundation that she can apply in her own life, even if I'm not there with her.
Right.
Or if her mother's not, you know, and the only way I can try to ensure that is to make sure that she sees that every day. You know, and that's my way of attempting to implement that in her life, is by being the things or attempting to be the things that I really hope she strives for in her life, and the same for my son.
Indeed. And I mean, she is one of the most caring little young women already, and super sweet, and already has this element of like trying to take care of folks. I was like, God, dog, man. So she goes.
Yeah, she's got that mother instinct on hard.
She goes to bed early and on her own. You know, I mean, the whole nine.
What is that speak of?
I didn't do that as a kid. I'll tell you what, bro. I tried to stay up as late as he was. That's one of the few things that I still get floored by it. I'll be like, hey, where's my baby? And my wife's like, oh, she's already in bed. I was like, man, we just ate dinner. You know?
She don't play around, man. She gets her sleep. She got to be rested and ready to go. So,
yes, sir.
Anyway, man, I appreciate you jumping on with us, Nick, man. I want you to get you some rest, brother. Enjoy your evening. And
no, I appreciate you, brothers. Thank you for having me.
Man, we love you,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Make sure you tell the fam and wifey we send love as well, man.
And people still go holler at that CD.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's on all. I don't want to speak out of term, Nicky, but it's on all streaming platforms, I believe. The Spotify and all that good stuff. But
Tell them how to find you.
It's called Derailed. And what's the what's your IG handle?
Oh, IG is Tedisco, TODISCO _DG Delta Golf. And then you can just search it under Dominic Giovanni. Go look at it through the streaming platforms.
Yep, it's on there, man. It's a beautiful project. If you go to the IG, you will also see a feat of lyrical fancy with the Science Challenge that Nicky did on the Locksmith track as well. So make sure y'all go ahead and check that out, man, if you get a chance. And I'll make sure I drop the information down in the description box. But anyway, man, love as usual, man. And we'll make sure we get you with you on the next one, man.
My brother. All right, love y'all, man.
Love you too,
man.
bro.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, that's my guy, man. The little bro, but you know he doing making big man moves. Let's see if real quick. How long we been on? What we at? Hour 18. Just be talking, man. Let me see if we can get the angry one on. See if he answer the phone. He probably up writing a book or something. Let's see if we can get King Kai.
Kicking over chairs.
He doing something crazy. I'm gonna see if he'll tell that story though. Let's see if I can get him to answer the phone, y'all.
What up, bro?
You're being recorded.
All right. What's going on with you?
What's up, King Kai?
What's up, bro?
How you doing, King?
Man, it's all good, baby. We wanted to hit you with the impromptu. Y'all, ladies and gentlemen, our official third host, Kai Phoenix. But quick, two things I need from you, real quick.
Almighty.
There we go. You know I need that handle. But can you please tell the audience the story you told us of you being Bobby Knight when you were a teenager? Please.
Well, folks, this is a cautionary tale. And the tale is about if you don't have certain memories of your childhood, sometimes that's for a reason.
Okay.
And I was telling my brother Jay that I acknowledged that I wasn't the greatest of kids growing up.
Right.
That was my reputation. I was kind of a bad kid. I didn't know to the degree of how bad of a kid that I was. And now that I'm at an age where, you know, you come into consciousness and you care about how you were and who you are. I went to go visit my best friend in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. His dad was always a very good, figure for me. You know, well, I was separated from my father, so, you know, I was trying to tell him there's always good men, especially in the church. And, you know, I'm not a churchy guy, but I'd be a lie to say that there were a whole bunch of black men in the church that were willing to fill in the gap. And his dad was one of those guys, and he fought for me because I was making bad grades to be able to play some basketball. And he finally let me in. My mom finally let me play, excuse me. And when I went up there, he was like, "Oh, man, I got some of the tapes. You want to watch some of the tapes of y'all games and stuff?" Now, granted, I don't even remember ever seeing any of the tapes, so this is great for me. And he turns on the tape, and the first thing I see is some kid kicking and throwing chairs
some kid,
onto the actual floor of the game because he disagreed with the referee call.
Right.
I see him wearing number 2.
Right.
I'm the only person I know growing up that ever wore number 2. And I'm looking at them and they're laughing and they're like, "That's you." Who's me?
That's
no, they were like,
that's
you.
like a bad boy's like, "Well, who shot me? That who be you?"
Yeah. Oh, that be you. I was like, "Nah, that can't be me." They was like, "Yeah, that's you." I'm like, "I have no memory of this. What do you mean that was me?" And they both at the same time was like, "I mean, that's how you were." Whoa. I'm so embarrassed because this man fought for me. He fought for me to be able to make that team, and that's how I'm looking at my wife, and she can tell when I'm legit embarrassed, and I don't really get embarrassed.
Right, true.
But I just was like, I couldn't watch anymore. I told them just cut it off. Holy crap! And they just was like, "You just was going through some things back then."
Well, y'all, we had this conversation, and I had the opportunity to catch up with Kai and his sister, and I haven't talked to her in 20 years, and we were just catching up, and she was sitting there like, to me, it was just Kai on a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? This is how he was.
When everybody says that, it's funny to have a badge of honor, like, I was a bad kid, but when you realize the degree of what you were, it's just like, man, how did I even have friends?
Dude, so I couldn't remember all of the details, but I was sharing with my mom and dad that I was able to catch up with you guys. And they're like, "Oh, really, really?" And I was like, "Pop, we didn't know Kai like that." And I was telling the story. My mom was like, "What?" And my dad's in the background. "Wait a minute, Kai, not Kai." I'm like, "Pop, we just didn't know him like that in our capacity of seeing him at church and stuff like that." But it was one of the most hilarious stories Skeens and I have heard in ages.
You need a reenactment of this. You know,
what's funny? You know what's funny is that I didn't know that there was a thing. Like, the stereotypes of pastors' kids, right?
Yes. Yep. They call
them
PKs.
My mom, I don't know if Jay's ever told you, Skeens. My mom is the Debo of every neighborhood and every church that I've ever lived in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My mom is the scariest individual black mother.
The quintessential scary black mom.
Quintessential. In every neighborhood, in every church, she's the one.
Wow.
She was the strictest parent. She was the one you didn't play with.
Yep.
You knew in my neighborhood, in every neighborhood I lived in, we can all go over each other's house. You ain't coming to Miss Reed's house. Ever. Yeah. I grew up in a house where if we lived there for 10 years, I must have went into the living room once to clean.
Yep.
You can't sit in there, but you go in there and vacuum and scrub them walls.
There you
That's
go.
Mom.
Yep. Indeed.
And it's like, the parent, the strictest parents got like the worst kids. Has to be a thing now.
Yeah, man.
I'm a firm believer.
Yeah, that's how I go, man. Now we're talking a topic that Skeens was, and I thought, Skeens was like, man, we gotta call Kai because I know he's, even though it's gonna be on the fly, I know he's gonna have something to
Bro,
give
I'm
us.
always ready to run my mouth. You know that?
Now, what we were talking about is whether it's in general, and we always talk about relationships in one way or another, Kai. So, in general, just relationships, or even with your spouse, what are your thoughts about the concept of always making sure that I'm about to mess it up. What did we say it was? Communicating with
listening with love.
Oh, excuse me, listening with love.
Listening with love.
Listening with love.
I think that that's an easy thing to do.
Okay.
I don't think communication is easy to do.
Okay.
I think that listening is easy.
Okay.
Expressing is the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
You have empathy for that person because you love that person. You care about how they feel. Even when you're angry, you'd rather not talk than talk angry and have to go back and apologize, because everybody hates apologizing, whether you're willing to do it or not. Mm-hmm. Listening is the easy part. Mm-hmm. If you can't have empathy for the person that you're with, you don't deserve to have anybody with you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Expressing, like, actual communication, that's the hard part, especially with men. We can listen. Maybe for some men, if they're like alphas and men, yeah, listening and caring. Like, when I first got into a relationship, my wife calls it the glaze. When she starts talking, I'll, get to the point, because I'm gonna glaze over
right
really soon. Mm-hmm. I called her all commas, no periods.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna need a pause. But when she felt a certain way, yeah, I'm gonna listen with empathy because I care about her. But as much as a talker as I am and a communicator, and I like to express, communication is a problem in my marriage.
Really?
Because yes, communication is a problem in my marriage, especially with me, because I don't like hurting her feelings. Okay. And that stems from when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, we broke up. Right. From my infidelity. Mm-hmm. So I got to see her hurt her. Right. Matter of fact, that was one of the reasons why I joined the military. I screwed up that relationship. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, I need to get away. Now, in between time that I signed up for the military and I went to boot camp, we got back together and wound up getting married. But that stayed with me because she never saw it coming. So the pain that she went through, I was like, man, I never want to feel that again. Right. So now I have a problem hurting her feelings. And I think it's natural in husbandry to, we're the ones who take one for the team. Like, when she's upset, if I let her be upset, we just going to be walking around each other like some gunslingers all day. Right. She's going to be slamming cabinets and stuff and doing subliminal stuff. So I push her. And I push her to make her speak, even if she doesn't want to speak. And maybe you shouldn't do that, but I know that she is better off when she gets it off her chest. Right. Me, on the other end, I don't want to talk because I don't want to talk angry. But not to mention, when I don't talk, when we get into it, I'm just going to go through my process. And if I'm just a little bit wrong in the situation, I'll let it go. And I'm going to apologize, even if I don't feel like I'm wrong. If I was a little bit wrong, all right, I'm going to give it to you. Right. But as far as expressing the things that I really want to express, I swallow that most of the time because I don't want to hurt her feelings.
Well, that's the scheme. One of the questions he posed was, how do you basically have to show restraint? And I said, well, with maturity, we use tact. It's mature tact is basically what we use in the relationship.
Well, what's the alternative? Like, when we first got together, and after you start saying I love yous and stuff like that, you have to communicate with me like I'm not just another dude. Right. Like, you can't just talk to me crazy. Like, I'm not one of them other dudes. Like, talk to me like you love me.
Right, yeah.
I have to be special because in my eyes, you're special. I don't speak to you the way I speak to anybody else. You're different. That's why we're together. It doesn't take much to hold restraint. But then again, like I tell you, I have a communication issue. So where I feel like I'm right could be a toxic way to exist in a relationship.
Right.
Because I don't communicate my feelings enough. I swallow them more than I have restraint. So maybe he's right and I'm wrong.
Well, the real reason why the question was posed, because as we look at in the midst of the canceling of each other, you know, I don't think enough of us are willing to listen to each other out of love to get a true understanding of another person's point of view, whether you agree or disagree, regardless of our differences. I think if more of us are listening to learn how to love each other and stop looking for a reason to divide and cancel another person because you're on the opposite team, whether you're Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, whatever it is.
Right.
I think if more of us look for the commonalities, we would be in a better place and we will have less of the turmoil that we have within our communities, households, so on and so forth. And it resonates throughout, you know, throughout our lives, our day-to-day, and so on and so forth. That's really where the question kind of came from. But I do understand what you're saying in terms of in the house. Yes, you should have a whole different elevated mindset of how to communicate with each other.
I think it's when it comes to the council thing, I think that's the purpose. I think that this generation in specific, because they're raised at a distance, everything is a distance. We don't play video games sitting right next to each other talking crap. You know what I'm saying? Now I can play against somebody in England and just say stuff and they can't get at me. Right. Everything is distance-based. So the council culture is just, in my opinion, is about power. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There was never a time when I can get Brad Pitt to react to me, but now I can say something online and get him to react. Right. It's the best of them. It's power. Like it feels like we're on the same level. So now I can control. If you do the wrong thing, I could say something that could build enough momentum to make you have to respond. It's a power thing. But in normal relationships, now we have to deal with that missing piece called grace. Right?
Yes, sir.
Is that we're going to have to learn how to give somebody else grace, because if I'm in communication with you, sooner or later I'm going to screw up, and now I'm going to need grace.
Yes. Yeah, that's a gem.
But if we're at a distance, I don't care about you. Yeah. Your life doesn't affect my life. I don't have to have grace or empathy. Races get to be racist because they never have to be around other races. It's easy to hate from a distance. But if we work in this factory and I got to work side by side with this guy, no matter how I feel, sooner or later I have to see him go through the same things I go through, which makes him human. Well, if he's human, he's hard to hate. Yeah. From a distance, I can demonize and do all I want. Now, if we're in some sort of relationship, now we got to have grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and I remember, Kai, you taking me back to when you were like, I want to see them cats go to Detroit and Chicago and talk some of that stuff.
Dog, answer me this, dog. Has any one of y'all ever heard of Charlottesville before Charlottesville?
No.
No. These are the towns that these things happen.
Yep.
And when you look at all these incidents, they're usually attacking single black females, Pakistani females, like Muslim females, Mexican females, catching them, young teenage females catching them by themselves. They're not going to Chicago and doing that.
No. We're going to go to Compton and slap these. Nah, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
They're in Charlottesville.
I wanted to ask you, Kai, you had made a post yesterday, and we haven't even talked about this. Just, again, we on the fly, baby. But you were, I wanted you to give some commentary and let the audience know about Charles Barkley was on, I don't know, what was that they were on?
CNN, I think, CBS, may have been.
They were talking after a game or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, what was his sentiments that he actually conveyed during that little section of time right there?
Charles said that I think that most white people and most black people are decent people. Mm-hmm. And he feels like the political leaders, their whole thing is to keep us divided and fighting amongst ourselves so that they can continue to have a job and line their pockets, and the whole system is based on division.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's absolutely right, and that's what's so rough. That's what's so rough about being a conscious black person, mm-hmm. because we do concentrate on the ills that affect our community,
right?
But on the other hand, we know that it's all about green.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We know it's a class thing.
Yep.
And we want to focus on the class thing and trying to tell people the rich class is playing the poor class. Is playing the middle class by blaming all their problems on the poor class.
Yep.
We want to say that, but man, that racism thing is so strong that we cannot help, because that's another thing, and it precedes everything else.
Right.
We can't focus.
Yep.
And you got to catch yourself, because you keep falling for it all over the place. You know it's just a socioeconomic thing, but they play us so smooth.
Yep.
And we play ourselves.
Well, yep, and that was part of the demise of Fred Hampton. Mm-hmm. He saw that it was a class thing.
Yeah,
Fred is
dangerous.
Yes, and his whole mindset was to unite the class and understand that it is a trick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
downfall too.
Yep. Same thing.
When he was marching for black rights in the streets, nobody cared.
Yep.
When he said he opposed the war,
mm-hmm.
and he was doing the Poor People's March,
there you go,
and gathering the white and black poor and middle class, now you're dangerous.
Yep.
You're stepping out of bounds now.
Yeah.
We listened to "I Have a Dream" speech, but we stopped listening to all the extra all the speeches right after that. We missed that part. Yes. Hey, we stopped listening to the rest of his speeches the same way we stopped listening to the third stanza of our national anthem.
Well, it's crazy how, as logical as what Charles Barkley said, I instantly went on YouTube and pulled up a guy that was killing. He's an idiot. And I'm like, this is some of the most basic knowledge ever. But again, in this day and age, you can always find something for what you're looking for.
Yes.
Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's an expert.
And just go with listening with love. Because if you listen to what Barkley said,
love, yeah,
he was not wrong. For the most part, there are good people throughout the world.
Yeah.
It's the loud minority.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the loud minority have power over the majority.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about finance, controlling media, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That makes us think it's the opposite.
But you're always going to have a problem, and you're always going to have a visceral reaction when you go after people's belief system.
Yep.
Whether that be religious or political, which is why religion and politics and race, people don't like to talk about them, because now you're touching everything that they believe in. Right. If I'm going to agree with Barkley, it's easy to talk about Trump that way, but not necessarily AOC and Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Hold on now, or Obama.
Right.
Hold on now. Not everybody. Now you want to argue.
Right.
Yep.
But so what he's doing is doing the generalization of the institution of politics.
Yep.
And you're getting mad because you like certain political actors.
There you go. I was waiting for you to say it, baby.
You know what I'm saying?
You need to coin that phrase, bro. You need to coin it. Get your copyright.
So when it starts to hit home, like some of these, and I'm one of those guys where he's right.
Yeah.
When you look at it, that's their whole thing. Like their whole job is to agree and find a common ground to help us out.
Yeah.
And for the majority of our lives, they don't do that.
Also,
it's Republicans and Democrats.
There you go. Yeah.
And when Barkley your point about those three topics is the leading cause of war and death.
Family breakups.
Those are the three. Those three are the tripods of the reason why we've had more destruction, and a lot of people don't want to have that discussion,
right,
or be honest about that.
Yeah,
the religion, politics, race.
But you got to understand, Skeens, that at some point in time, you're going to have to understand that you're the extreme.
Right. Yeah.
Normal people are not walking around asking questions the way we do. People don't look up at the sky and go, "Why?"
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Like, we're literally a bunch of people floating on a blue planet paying bills. It's weird, but people don't think that far. They don't think like we think, and that's the majority of people. We're the extreme, and we expect people to actually care and contemplate. I mean, you got to start off just with the people that are in survival mode. They ain't got no time to self-evolve and worry about anxiety and all of that stuff like that. And we're asking them to be better black people, and they're in survival mode. They ain't got no time for that.
Yeah, that's true.
We're the extremes, and people like us just have to create the atmosphere for future generations to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's it, man. We were just quoting you, talking to the homie Dominic, man. And I didn't tell y'all, we gonna have my man Scoop. We got to get him on before his queen drops the young king that's coming. I forgot, May something. Am I making it up? It's May something, I think, 14, somewhere around there. But I'm trying to get Kai, Nicky, and Scoot on the track. I think that would be magnificent. I just got an A&R the project though. But anyway, but no, we were just quoting you because Dominic was on, and we were talking about how, again, the goal is to always leave this thing better than we got it. You know what I'm saying, man? That's the whole goal, man. And like you say, make the environment and set things up. And Dominic has a song that I was talking about. It's called Mirror Talk that he put on his EP, and that's really what he was talking about, is building that legacy for his kids and those that come and inspire, even some of us that are here now. But I wanted to ask you too, man, we touched it, but give your why I love DMX story.
Why I love being what?
DMX.
Why I love DMX. I love DMX because, in the grand scheme of things, DMX's run was really short. Mm-hmm. DMX was only at his height for maybe about 4 to 5 years.
Right.
But he represented something so deep. He was able to capture something and grasp a moment and grasp for people. Like, in hip-hop music, people rap about those at the bottom. Mm-hmm. But they don't mean like the bottom. They just mean it as a generalization.
Right.
And then the guy comes from like the bottom. Mm-hmm. He actually was living it. He actually was that person. And he doesn't speak for everybody else. He just speaks for the bottom. Mm-hmm. You can smell it on him. It's real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
DMX represented a certain class of poor that had not been seen before. So he comes with an authenticity that had never been seen before, a different energy.
Yeah.
But for all of his gangster raps, when you saw him, it was love and it was deep thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You watched a bottom class dude attempting to be better. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He was attempting to be better, and he was trying to share that with everybody else.
Yeah.
Rap is at its most compelling when somebody is telling you a story that you've never seen before.
Right.
DMX was able to do that before 50. 50 came, and it was so exciting because at any moment, 50 Cent is going to get shot in his face.
Right.
You know he's about to die. He's about to die.
Yep.
It's so compelling. We've never seen. We understand gangster violence, but not on this level.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And DMX captured the story, and he after a while, he started representing everybody. And then he had the ability, the dynamics to make hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you read great books that teach you how to be great men, my favorite books always come down to one basic concept. And it's what I've been trying to do my whole life, and it's my life's goal. And DMX did it. Become an idea. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Become an idea. Ideas don't die.
Yeah, there you go.
They're forever. They're movement.
Yeah.
People like DMX, what he did in 5 years, you can live 2 lifetimes and not do what he did.
Yeah, man. That's real.
And his name is going to be forever. They'll always talk about DMX. And in the grand scheme of things, when we talk about what life is about, when the last person says your name, you truly die.
Yeah, that's real.
So they're never going to stop saying DMX's name.
Yeah, man.
What he did in his run was amazing. And he transcended genres. And he did that without changing himself.
Right, yeah.
He's sort of like Muhammad Ali in a weird way, is that, you know, by the time Muhammad Ali became famous in a Joe Frazier fight, the world had changed around him, but he never changed. Sort of like Colin Kaepernick. He never changed. They just realized he was right. The world changed around him.
Right.
Same thing with DMX. Everything changed around him, but he never changed.
Yeah, yeah.
He is an American original.
He is, man.
But
we were talking about how he captured, again, talking about that, yeah.
Some demons.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And the saddest part about it is, it was never his fault in the first place.
That's the part that's just, man.
It's the drug of all drugs. It's introduced to you as a teenager, which means you don't have a chance. Yeah. If you're introduced to crack at 14, you're going to be done for a while.
You know? Yeah, man.
Yeah. Now imagine adding global fame.
Yep.
I can go to anywhere in the country and they know my face.
Yep.
As a black man.
Yeah.
Global fame and millions. Now add that to a crack habit. Good luck.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah.
He was trying. You can tell he was reaching out. Everything was about God and praying, and he was trying to beat this. And I had hope for him. These last 3 appearances, I saw him when he's all fat, which is always a great sign when you get out of rehab.
Yep.
You're getting fat. He was clear in thought. I thought he had conquered it. But those demons, some demons, man, you know, and they'll tell you in rehab, you never are drug free. Like, you never recover.
Right.
It's a battle every day.
Yeah.
It's just an everyday battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one thing
you
I
win
wish,
some, you lose some.
you know,
And unfortunately for my guy, you know, they're saying that he doesn't have any brain activity. You know, he's breathing on his own, but he doesn't have any brain activity. Some lights, when they get turned off, they don't turn back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I wish, even though it's far-fetched, I wish that someone would have loved him enough to not sell to him. I know that's hard. You know, that's you know, that's something that, you know, it will never happen. But at his stage,
No, I feel you.
at where he is now, after he got to a point of, like you said, we saw him on Versus, he was heavy, he was doing. I wish that after people saw him coming back,
Yeah.
no one would have sold to him again. It reminds me of they told a story of how somebody stole was it Ali's car in Chicago or something like that?
Right.
And they put it on, you know, and I think he was on the radio or something like that. They told, hey, somebody stole Ali's car. They brought his car back and had a note. Sorry, champ, didn't know it was yours.
Right.
Right.
That kind of love,
Right,
you know,
I
for
got
an icon, it's like, I wish they would have loved him enough to say, hey, I'm not selling to you. Where's your sponsor?
They're not built like that.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor had that too. Some drug dealers just refuse to sell to him anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where's your
They're
sponsor?
like, we're not doing that, Rich.
Right.
We're not.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to think, DMX to a certain extent, he was like the king of the underdog.
Yeah.
He really was the people's champ
Yeah.
for the people at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was one of those guys, Jay. I think that we've talked about it before. He was one of those guys like Pac before him and like 50 after him. The reason we relate to them is because they're like super macho masculine alphas that are extremely vulnerable.
Right. Yeah. We did talk.
And that's what makes them real.
Yep.
Is because these guys are telling you the truth. They're crying in front of you. Mm-hmm. Now, you have to give him props for that. Mm-hmm. No matter what you think about DMX, DMX was a vulnerable man, comfortable in his own skin. And you have to mention him among other people. You're going to have to place them among other leaders that were teaching people that it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
To be that.
Yeah.
And he wasn't trying to do that. He just was being his authentic self.
Yeah.
He was vulnerable, and that's what makes you real.
Yeah.
It's the sacrifice, looking bad and looking a certain way for the benefit of others.
Yeah, and I think too, Kai, just the part where it makes my heart hurt for him is just this journey that he's been on, and even thinking about, he told the story where it was something to the effect of where his mama just kind of like dropped him off at a place for kids. Yeah, you like this place? And, he has no clue what's going on. He's like, oh, it's cool. And, your mom just abandons you. You got somebody introduces this monster of crack to you as a 13, 14-year-old kid. You know what I mean? And it's a OG that you look up to that will, basically violate you like that.
I wish he would have exposed him.
You know what I'm saying?
Until his day, the show, when Kyle, when you said people not built the same. Till this day, he still have not exposed this person.
Right. Yeah.
And told who that person was.
Yeah. If y'all go back and look, he did an interview with Talib Kweli on his podcast, and he really
The People's Party.
The People's Party. Thank you, Kyle. I was trying to think of the name, but and he really, he had a really vulnerable moment where he broke down and was talking.
He wasn't ready for that name.
Yeah, man.
Because and I think that's one of the reasons why he never exposed the guy, because when Talib brought him up and you see his reaction like, whoa.
Yeah.
When he initially first talking, he's praising the guy.
Yeah.
This is a guy that inspired me to do the thing that brought me the most, my life's meaning. But he's also the guy that destroyed me. Man. So it's hard to expose somebody that did so much for you.
Right. Yeah.
But I said in the aspect of who else did this person destroy along the way? Mm-hmm. So
they probably didn't know. You're probably dealing with another addict. He probably was smoking crack as well. He probably didn't think, it was going to be as harmful as it was. He never saw DMX being what he became. And misery loves company.
There you go.
Addicts don't want to be addicts by themselves.
Yeah.
He was in a position to corrupt something that he could keep around for years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He had a running partner. I don't want to be in this alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, addiction is a disease.
Yeah, man.
So that person was probably suffering too. Didn't want to do it alone.
Because I remember he used to hang around a guy a long time ago called Just Ice. I remember that was like when DMX was like really, really young.
Okay.
And I was wondering what was his mindset even then. Mm-hmm. Was he battling with those things way back when?
Right. And I think about it too. I mean, Kai, he's passed on now, but Skeens and I had an uncle where he battled
forever. That
monster basically his entire life. You know what I mean? Until he was an old man, he was battling. So it's just crazy, man. To like you said, to think about that, and I just, my heart goes out to him and to his family, man. I sent some up to the Most High for DMX, man, and his people, and just praying for their comfort and peace during this time, man. And
it's sad because even if he wins and he's able to survive this, I keep trying to tell people you're not going to be dealing with the same individual. Like it's over.
It's
over. Whether he makes it out or not, he lost some brain function. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be the same. Mm-hmm. And he had a heart attack. So the DMX that people know and love essentially is gone. Whether he survives or not. So this is a mourning.
Yeah, it is, man. It is, man.
Like it is, he'll have some semblance of life. The man has 15 kids, bro.
Oh yeah. Yep. Now I heard. I was telling them earlier, Kai. I heard on because there's been a couple reports. I don't know what's 100% accurate, but on Hot 97 they were saying that he was still on a machine and that the family is now in a place of deciding to keep him on it or not. So, again, I don't know. I've heard multiple conflicting stories and things, but on a happier note, Skeens and Dom were saying that their first, introduction really to DMX was Stop Being Greedy. Do you remember the first DMX track you heard?
Oh, man.
I think for me it was Get At Me, Dog. That was probably the first one.
The first DMX, the first time I heard DMX was on 24 Hours to Live. It was Mace, The Lock. It was a Bad Boy thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time it was like, who the heck was that dude?
Right. Yeah.
And then Ja Rule came with him. Jay-Z was coming into prominence, and they came as this three-headed monster.
Yep. That it was supposed. I wish they would have put that project out, man.
Yeah.
But
they
anyway.
were trying.
Yep.
But as a matter of fact, I had heard them years before that, but the focus was on Jay.
Okay.
Jay was something like we had never, and he was on his way up. But they came as a three-headed monster, and he represented, Jay was the hustler, Ja Rule was the wild thug, DMX was the bottom guy. DMX was the guy you really didn't want to see in the dark alley.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You could fight Ja Rule, DMX was going to stab you to death.
Right.
Bro, I remember him telling stories that he used to rob people with his dogs.
Yep.
He robbed you with dogs.
Not only that, the funny part is him and his wife Tamika, she came from a strict Muslim family, and she used to watch DMX from her window as a teenager when they were both teenagers outside, and she said she fell in love with him just watching him snatching purses.
That's crazy, man.
He sort of fell in love with him before they ever met, just watching him on the streets and stuff.
Yeah, that's dope, man. But
when it comes down to the family making a decision, it comes down to when a person has had the kind of life that he's had, you're gonna have to deal with quality of life.
That's it.
If he survives this, and he is not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself, if I went on to accomplish all of these great things and then I don't have the mental capacity to really take care of myself, I probably would tell my wife, go ahead and let me go.
Yeah. My dad has always told me that, man. If anything happened and I'm going to be like a vegetable or anything, and as a young kid, I didn't get it, but now as a grown up, of course, I get it. I'm like, Pop, I understand it. And I wouldn't want to see my Pop, Bishop Holcomb, Kai, before he passed, and after he passed, his wife was telling us, kind of the process, because she was like, y'all see him on Sunday, I see him all the time, so I'm seeing this man that I've been with all these years change, and come to find out, later they feel like he had Lou Gehrig's disease, right? So Bishop started losing a lot of weight, and he would be out of church. At one point he fell and broke his ribs in the tub, and all these little things start happening. He started losing weight, and so long story less long, she was saying that they were trying to figure out what was going on with him, and she got to a point where she gave him a bath, and she was like, she said, y'all, as much as I done seen him without his clothes on, just because of how this moment was and what was the things that were going on with his body, she used to tell us how she turned around and didn't even look at him. But, he got in the bathtub, she gave him a bath, and he had already known in his mind, and he said, Val, that bath felt so good, girl. And he said, he looked at her and said, but that ain't it. And he was letting her know, I know that I'm going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, at some point in time, like at what point in time are you being selfish? You understand what I'm saying?
There you go. That's it. And she said,
at what point in time are you just being selfish?
Yep.
And
just let me go.
Bishop said that if his two things, if he can't preach and he can't have sex, gotta go.
Let me tell you something. There was a brilliant man. There was a brilliant man if I've ever heard of him.
You know what I'm saying? So it's basically, if I can't do my thing that I do and I can't get it in,
what I'm good at, let me go. I'm good at two
let me
things.
go. Yeah, man. And
I can lose one, but I can't lose both.
You know, so one thing I always want to grow to get to that point, you know, where Bishop was so dedicated and really truly believed his faith that he really did not fear going. You know what I mean? He had absolutely no fear in him about transitioning. You know what I mean? And that's, you know,
he was a powerful guy. I was only in contact with him one time in my life. One time, and I was like 11 years old. That dude is in my intro for my first book.
And we talked about that, y'all. If you go back and look at our first interview with Kai, but yeah, man, he was a pivotal guy in my life, man. You know, right up there, Bishop, Pastor McMillan, all those guys are of the same ilk. So, but anyway, man, we glad you jumped on with us. You got any parting shots for us? Anything you want to bless the people with? I know you always keep something to tell.
Hey, tell them where they can find the book.
Well, the book. My first book of poetry is called "Must You Burn Before You Respect Fire." It's gonna be coming real soon. I actually was in a conference today. Today is this is National Poetry Month in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm in a conference with the poet laureate, who is an actual personal friend of mine in San Antonio. I've known her since 2008, and I'm in that conference, and I'm like, if this is what the city has to offer, I'm about to kill it. It's always a competition. I'm an MC. If you do what you're supposed to do and I'll do what I'm supposed to do, it's going to be great. But while you're doing it, just know that I'm looking at you as competition.
Right.
And I hope you're looking at me the same way so we can make this thing greater than what it is.
So you got, I mean, you still got like 75 projects that you're working on right now, writing?
Always. Do what it is that you love.
That's it.
I will die doing what I love.
That's it, man.
And if it's more than one thing, do all of them.
There you go. That's right. I saw something that in that I be kind of halfway seeing stuff on social media, but it was basically talking about when you're quote unquote staying in your lane, and it was like they showed like several people, but it was showing like, look at what staying in his lane got Jamie Foxx. All the dope stuff that Jamie Foxx has done, staying in his lane. You know what I'm saying? It was something to that effect, man. So that's kind of what you're talking about, man. But also, man,
I had a nightmare last night. I had a nightmare, and I was in my nightmare. I was screaming at myself. Stop wasting time. Stop wasting time. And I just think about all the times I'm chilling on my phone, doing my thing. I'm on PlayStation or just chilling watching TV as if this life is promised.
Man, that's real.
And I'm still battling with my fear of the end. So you're really, stop wasting time.
Yeah.
It was a scary dream to me, man. It was just a reminder.
Stop wasting time. Well,
stop wasting time, man. Go after what you love, man.
Of course, Kai, without knowing it, always is going to hit us between the ice. On a funnier note, what Skeens was talking about, a part of what inspired his talking about communicating in love, he was like, me and Kai be on there disagreeing like a mug, but it's always it's always love. It's love.
I'll be like, man, you guys are some of the dope. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're
I love it, man. But man, we love you, man.
Love you too, man.
We're gonna have you. I'm gonna hit you later on. Probably this weekend. We'll probably jump back on and make something happen. But I'll hit you about that, man. But as usual, guys, it's my man Kai Phoenix.
Almighty.
We got the man is always heard and never seen, Skeens. And I'm your host, Jay Carter, and this has been another episode of How Did We Get Here? We'll holler at y'all next time.